But Brian, now while we're on the subject of the WWE and or WWE legends and or ex personnel, seems like it's all one big family because now even if Undertaker has pull with the new administration enough to get his wife into the Hall of Fame, he's still hanging out with the previous regime. Isn't that frowned on in most South American countries? When you're trying to buddy up to both sides. Is Undertaker hanging out at football games with Vince McMahon?
Not just football games, at the Super Bowl.
Well, that's a football game. Why are you trying to correct me?
The most watched event of the year. It's the one with the biggest audience. Now, they weren't on TV, but in the middle of the game, someone tweeted out that their father was sitting near The Undertaker and Vince McMahon, and then quickly photos went around, including Shane McMahon, in this traveling party in New Orleans.
Well, wait a minute now. It's Shane and Vince. Now, see, that warms a lot of cockles. To see Shane and Vince having a bonding moment at a sporting event, because I guarantee you, I bet you Vince wasn't at a lot of his football games when Shane was playing in school. So this way that they're even in Vince's golden years, he's got his boy alongside him, patting him on the head, probably bought Shane a hot dog. What was the Undertaker doing in all of this?
The picture of him here, he's wearing is that a straw hat? He's wearing a hat.
What?
It's not a straw hat. It looks like it's a straw hat, but it's not a close-up photo. And he has a drink in his hand, like Julian of the Trailer Park Boys. And apparently just enjoying a few cocktails, hanging out with Vince. And Shane.
And there are pictures of this.
There are pictures. I've sent you a link. If you get
Wait,
a moment.
have you sent me something? Should I? Oh, you sent me something, but it says don't click. Could be dangerous malware.
No, it does not say that.
It says that on everything you send.
Well, first of all, that has nothing to do with me. That may be the links that you're opening, and I don't necessarily send you bad links. But why don't you click on the link I just sent?
Well, the one with the Dalmatian is the only one that worked, but so I'll click on the link you sent me.
There's no Dalmatians.
Oh my God! What the fuck? The Undertaker looks like he's been marooned on Gilligan's Island in that hat or something. I don't know what kind of apparatus is that, or is that some type of Jim Bowie thing from the Alamo? Is it made out of buckskin?
Oh yeah, that must be it.
It's made out of buckskin atop a hubcap.
Should the Undertaker start wearing a raccoon skin hat like Davy Crockett? Would that be a new thing for him?
Well, at least it would look like he had a ponytail.
Well, there he is, enjoying his cocktail and his hat, hanging out with the stylish McMahons.
But good God, Vince looks like he weighs 170 pounds. I mean, his head's the biggest part of him.
Now, again, it's a photo where it looks like he's kind of leaning a little towards the camera, so it's not like a straight ahead, but he does seem, while in shape, skinnier than we've ever seen him.
Well, yeah, and somebody's going to say, well, Jesus, 170 pounds, that doesn't sound like he's a goddamn, starvation camp. But no, the Vince McMahon that's, what is Vince, 6'2", that has always been jacked up and was on the cover of Muscle and Fitness, has been well north of 200 pounds for his entire adult life. So this is but I'm not advocating for him to be that again. I think he carried it a little too far as it was, but it's shocking now to see somebody who's looked in one fashion at one time now suddenly like he went to give blood and forgot to say when. But is that Shane over on it? Jesus Christ. Shane may have fucking found the weight that Vince lost, hadn't he?
Well, Shane may just be healthy, as opposed to, Vince was always, you could say he looked like he was in shape, but I don't know if that means he was healthy looking.
Yeah.
He looked insane. That's what he looked. And the Undertaker's obviously drinking, so I don't know.
Well,
praise the Lord.
Now that I think about it with Shane here, I think, first of all, it's not a flattering top. It's got the wrinkles from the stretching. He's got his arms folded and he's turning his head, which may account for some of the jowlage. on the left side of his face. But
See, part of it is he's wearing tight clothing. That's his choice. He decided
Yeah.
that whatever, when guys want to show off their arms or their chest, you wear something tight, but it may not be good for the rest of you.
Well, now girls do that too. What do you want? They want to show off their arms or their chest or whatever. Don't be sexist about it.
Who's being sexist?
Both of the gendarmes are allowed to wear tight clothing. Some people we encourage to, but
What do you think of the idea that Vince McMahon's hanging out with The Undertaker? Forget about the Shane part of it for right now, but at the Super Bowl, at a very, very public event where you're almost guaranteed someone's going to see you guys hanging out. It's a very public thing.
well, they're not working a big program where they're enemies on television. I don't think it's shocking that they're together as much as they had to be in some type of limited access section, one would think, because of their it's the word I'm searching for. They're the factor that they can be recognized by the public is, and you would think that the Undertaker, people would be bugging the piss out of him. I'm not, saying harassing him, but wanting autographs or whatever. With Vince, you never know. People may come up to him going, "Fuck you." But one would think that both of them would not just be milling about in the general admission section at a stadium of 75,000 people or whatever the fuck that everybody could get into, do you think?
The other
First
thing
of
is,
all,
this is days before Michelle McCool gets into the Hall of Fame. What if this was a negotiating tactic? Hey, put my wife in or I'm going to go work for whatever the hell Vince is trying to do with Shane.
I think if they gave two shits, they'd say, okay, take your wife with you. But I think that, like I said, they're just fulfilling a favor. But, I'm sure they're discussing old times and et cetera there. But I think maybe the bigger story is Vince has decided to do away with the movie villain look.
Yeah.
And now why? When he was guaranteed during the sale of the company, he was guaranteed to be on every news network, the ringing the bell at Wall Street, every magazine or online source would report on this thing. Their pictures of him were going around, Snidely Whiplash, fucking stage 4 Ernie Kovacs, the whole tie Penelope to the train fucking deal. And that's when he was highly recognized. He looked completely insane, out of his mind, Gomez Adams. But now that he's just hanging out at the fucking Super Bowl in a personal capacity, he looks like a normal human being again. He's got his fucking old haircut back. It's brushed back. He's in a stadium, but his hair is perfect. Ahoo! Vince is on the prowl. He's clean shaven. He's had a nice trim of his sideburns. There's no hair growing out of his ears or his nostrils. He's not a madman.
Yeah, he is.
Was that all? Was that a gimmick for the sale? And now, he's okay. Now I can look normal again. What the fuck is going on?
You got to think it's one of two things. Well, you could think it's other things, but I think it's one of two things. Either he was sick and we don't know anything about it, and somehow whatever treatment he was getting blew up his face because he was puffy. His face was big.
Yeah.
And then he grew a mustache and dyed everything jet black almost to distract from everything else. Or did he get some kind of plastic surgery right before this announcement? And because of the timing, there's a plane somewhere. Because of the timing, he looked like a madman because he was so swollen, and he grew a mustache because of Douglas Fairbanks. I really don't know, but this looked like Vince before
the
all the
mark of Zorro.
But even before that appearance, the last few years when we saw Vince, anything with him, facially he looked nuts. He looked like he had a lot of work done, and he did not look right. This kind of, again, one brief photo from a weird angle, looks more like the classic Vince, even though slimmer.
Do you think it's been some kind of goddamn animatronic double? Was he really in a coma for 7 years and they had the money to build a public Vince? And now suddenly he woke up and said, let's go to the football game, son.
I have here, The Undertaker apparently did an interview somewhere, and he was asked about this. I was his guest, yeah. Look, I'm going to get hate for that. People are like, oh, you guys were so close? You know what happened. I'm like, I don't know what hasn't been done. We don't talk about those things. But he is a friend of mine. First off, he gave me an opportunity to make something of my life and become something. Through the course of all those years, we became friends. After my father passed away, he was a father figure. He was a brother. He was a mentor. I don't know everything that's happened, what's gone on, and I'm not the judge on this case. There's only one judge. That's the man upstairs. He's going to give us all whatever we deserve in the end, and that's what it is. I think people in glass houses shouldn't throw stones. I don't have to agree with everything that people do, but it doesn't change the fact that I love somebody and I'm friends with somebody. And that's the quote defending hanging out with Vince at the Super Bowl. People in glass houses shouldn't throw stones. Who exactly? It's a weird comparison for this situation. Vince, beyond the Janelle Grant stuff, Vince did a lot of nasty shit.
Well, I don't know whether people in glass houses shouldn't throw stones or shouldn't fling poop. But you shouldn't do one of those things, kids. Stay away from both of them, just to make sure. But no, I wasn't surprised. Taker doesn't give a shit if he's loyal to people. And I was with him on that statement until he started talking about the man upstairs, and then credibility goes south for me, unfortunately, in times like that. But
was he saying that in Wrestler's Court? There's only one judge, and that's the man upstairs. Was that what he was saying in Wrestler's Court?
I don't remember that ever being part of the entertainment portion of the programming back then. But no, I'm not surprised that he was there because he's a loyal guy, and Vince has done a lot for him. And I'm pretty sure they weren't talking about, various things that have been in that suit, probably even as they were happening. It probably didn't come up between those two. But that's the whole. Vince has a problem, and maybe that's why he's trying to look more normal again, or your hypothesis, which is more detailed and obviously something you've thought of at length, is probably more accurate. But anytime now that even any of his old friends that had nothing to do with anything he was doing are seen at the fucking Safeway with him, or wherever he's going these days as he goes about his daily life, people are going to look at him like they got turds hanging out of their mouth. And that's going to be awkward for a lot of people. Like I said, Taker doesn't give a shit, and he's Taker. But Vince's circle is going to constrict, probably.
It'll be even more awkward when they put Vince in the Hall of Fame.
I still don't know if they can sell that one or not. At least, will Vince... And I'm not saying this in any other than just a fucking look at the actuarial tables, folks. Is Vince going to live long enough at, what is he, 79? Is he going to be 80 this year or whatever? That the heat will be off enough that they won't get a lot of backlash with these suits that are still going to be going on for however knows how long. So that, I don't think he's going to be back on television. But the whole rest of the family will be.
Boy, will they.